Hey everybody. Well, welcome to my latest video here on YouTube. This is a classic NASCAR video today on the birthday of my all-time favorite driver in NASCAR, Darrell Waltrip. I'm such a huge fan of Darrell Waltrip that I have two books written by Darrell Waltrip in my collection. This one right here, Lifetime Going Around in Circles, and another book by Darrell Waltrip, which he came out with a little bit later than this other book that I just showed you. Sundays Will Never Be the Same. That one there came out in the middle of his broadcasting career after he retired as a driver, where he talks a lot about the death of Dale Earnhardt, which was his introduction to broadcasting, really, after he retired from driving. But I wanted to give you guys a rundown of his whole career, but I found out that it's just too much stuff, and I'll just give you the early years of his career here on this video here. Maybe next year I'll do the rest of it. I also have here what I call my NASCAR Bible. It's a pretty big book. It's the complete history of NASCAR right here. All in one book. A lot of great stuff in that book. And I also have another source here, which I've had for a lot of years, called Vintage and Historic Stock Cars. Ooh, yeah. That one came out back in like 1994, so it's got some beauty cars in there. But, so here we go with Darrell Waltrip. Darrell Lee Waltrip, his full name, born on February the 5th, 1947. So it's a happy 79th birthday today to Darrell Waltrip. He was born in Owensboro, Kentucky. He is a motorsports analyst and author, as you can see by those two books that he wrote, as well as a former national television broadcaster for NASCAR and stock car driver. He raced from 1972 to 2000 in the NASCAR Cup Series, known as the NASCAR Winston Grand National and NASCAR Winston Cup Series during his time as a driver, most notably driving the number 11 Chevrolet for Junior Johnson. Unfortunately, I didn't get that far in his career today on this rundown of his career, but we'll get through what I can. Waltrip is a three-time Cup Series champion, 1981, 1982, and 1985. Widely regarded as one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history, Waltrip won 84 NASCAR Cup Series races throughout his career, including the 1989 Daytona 500, which is when I became a Darrell Waltrip fan, a record 5 in the Coca-Cola 600, formerly called the World 600, 1978, 1979, 1985, 1988, and 1989, and a track and Cup Series record for any driver at Bristol Motor Speedway with 12. 7 consecutive from 1981 to 1984. He is 5th on NASCAR's all-time wins list in the Cup Series, one behind Bobby Allison. They used to be tied, but they gave Bobby Allison another win for a race that used to be considered unofficial, but they changed it, so now Bobby Allison's one ahead of Darrell, 85 to 84. In the modern era of NASCAR, only Jeff Gordon won more races than Waltrip. They consider the modern era from basically 1972, when Darrell Waltrip actually started as a driver, and the Winston became the sponsor of the series, and they cut out all the dirt track races that they used to run and cut the schedule back from around 50 races down to about 30, which it more or less still is today. It's about 36 now, I think. Competing in 809 Cup starts over 4 decades and 29 seasons, Waltrip has scored 271 top 5s and 390 top 10s, and posted a modern NASCAR Series record of 22 top 5 finishes in 1983, which is the year I started following NASCAR, and 21 top 5 finishes both in 1981 and 1986, which ironically was the year that he left Junior Johnson's team to go back to running his own team after having 21 top 5 finishes in 1 year. Winning nearly $19.9 million in posted earnings, he became the first NASCAR driver to be awarded over $10 million in career race winnings. Waltrip has additionally won 13 NASCAR Busch Grand National Series races, 7 American Speed Association or ASA races, 3 IROC races, International Race of Champions, 2 Automobile Racing Club of America or ARCA races, 2 NASCAR All-American Challenge Series events, 2 All-Pro Racing Association races, and a USAC race. He competed in the 24 Hours of Daytona. He also holds the all-time track record of 67 wins at the Fairgrounds Speedway in Nashville, Tennessee, including NASCAR, USAC, ASA, and local late model sportsman NASCAR sanctioned series races. He still holds many NASCAR records, more than 2 decades after his retirement as an active driver. He has also won many awards in NASCAR. That includes 2 for NASCAR's Most Popular Driver Award, 1989 and 1990, 3 for American Driver of the Year, 1979, 1981, and 1982, and NASCAR's Driver of the Decade for the 1980s, as well as 3 for National Motorsports Press Association Driver of the Year, 1977, 1981, and 1982, 2 for Auto Racing Digest Driver of the Year, 1981 and 1982, the first Tennessee Professional Athlete of the Year, 1979, one of NASCAR's 50 Greatest Drivers in 1998, and also, do I have that book here? No, I don't. He was also named one of NASCAR's 50 most intriguing personalities in 1998 also. And I have an issue of NASCAR Winston Cup Illustrated magazine, which featured all that in there. Profiles of all 50 drivers in there. And he also won the Bill France Award of Excellence in 2000. He has been inducted into numerous halls of fame, including the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America for 2003 and the International Motorsports Hall of Fame for 2005. After being nominated for the inaugural 2010 and 2011 classes, he was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame's 2012 class. Waltrip served as a color analyst for Fox Sports alongside Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Gordon. Not all at the same time, although for a few years were all together at the same time. But at first it was just Mike Joy and Larry McReynolds. A columnist at foxsports.com, and an author, as we already saw. 2 books, at least, maybe more, I don't know, I just have 2. He is the older brother of former NASCAR driver and the now defunct MWR, Michael Waltrip Racing, team owner Michael Waltrip. Waltrip retired from the commentary booth at the conclusion of Fox's broadcast schedule for the 2019 NASCAR season in June 2019. So going back to the beginning of Waltrip's career, starting his driving career in go-karts at the age of 12. And we do have a picture of that in here. There's a picture of Darrell with his go-kart as a kid. Here it is right here. Woohoo! See that? You can see there at the bottom, there's Darrell with his old go-kart, his helmet on, his leather jacket, and the go-kart. That's where it all started for Darrell Waltrip. Owensboro, Kentucky, with his go-kart. Waltrip entered his first stock car race just 4 years later, when he was 16. Waltrip and his father built a 1936 Chevrolet Coupe and headed to a local dirt track near their Owensboro home. The first night out was far from a success, as the youngster, barely old enough to drive on the street, slammed the wall and heavily damaged the coupe. Waltrip soon left the dirt and found his niche on asphalt, where the smoothness he learned in the go-karts proved a valuable asset. Waltrip was a 1965 graduate of Davis County High School in Owensboro. He was an early racer at the Kentucky Motor Speedway, an asphalt track in Whitesville, and Ellis Raceway, a dirt track on U.S. Highway 60 West in Davis County. Ellis Raceway is now closed. Driving a car called Big 100, built by Harry Pedley, owner of Pedley's Garage on West 2nd Street in Owensboro, and sponsored by R.C. Bratcher Radiator and Welding Company. And we do have a picture of his old car, number 100, in here. Also, if I can find that. It's on the next page after that go-kart picture. Yep, here it is. Here we go. Mr. Owensboro, it says on the side of his car there. Number 100, the old Chevy in Owensboro, Kentucky. Yeah, right on. So there we have that. His success in Owensboro gained the attention of P.B. Crowell, a Nashville car owner and driver who urged Waltrip to move to the area to race at the Fairgrounds Speedway at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds in Nashville, where he would win the 2 track championships in 1970 and 1973. 73, even after he started his Winston Cup career. Still came back to Nashville to race. Waltrip drove the number 48 P.B. Crowell-owned Ford, sponsored by American Home, in Nashville, where he aggressively promoted the week's race when he appeared on a local television program promoting the Speedway's races, and was not afraid to embrace the local media when other competitors were reluctant to do so. Some of the notorious on-air trash-talking included making fun of some of the other local drivers, such as Cuckoo Marlin, whose son Sterling later raced at the circuit and is a 2-time Daytona 500 winner, back-to-back 1994 and 95, I believe, or 93, 94, something like that, and James Fluky Buford, whose nickname he would mock on air. With names like that, the jokes pretty much write themselves. Yeah, Cuckoo. You'd say, well, Cuckoo, he's crazy. He can't beat me. He's cuckoo. He's crazy. And Fluky, well, he just wins because he gets lucky all the time. He's a fluke. He doesn't have any real talent. The jokes really just write themselves. It pleased track management that he was helping sell tickets, leading to packed grandstands and extra paychecks from track operators for his promotional skills. He became friends with WSM radio host Ralph Emery in his early years, forming a bond which would be influential throughout his career, as Waltrip would appear frequently on Emery's early morning television show on local Nashville television station, WSMV, and later substitute for Emery in the 1980s on Emery's television show, Nashville Now, on the former TNN cable network, now the Paramount Network. I remember watching a few episodes with Darrell Waltrip as the host. That show. That was a great show. I missed that channel quite a bit. Waltrip would use the success he enjoyed at the Music City Motorplex and his notoriety and public speaking skills that he acquired from television appearances in Nashville as a springboard into NASCAR's big leagues. While driving at Nashville in those early years, Waltrip met and raced against drivers who had prior experience at NASCAR's highest level, such as Marlin, G.C. Spencer, Lehman and Sherman Etzman, whose brother Johnny Etzman was also a driver in NASCAR, and Marty Robbins, the country singer who would race regularly there before going on stage later in the night at the Grand Ole Opry, and made occasional forays into Grand National racing starting in 1966. Waltrip was a guest on a PBS special called Marty Robbins' Super Legend, which was hosted by John Schneider of TV's The Dukes of Hazzard in 1986, which I have watched many times. On that special, Waltrip said that Robbins' dream in racing was to, quote, pull up alongside Richard Petty and look him in the eye, unquote. Waltrip became a Christian in 1983, but states it was years later before God came first in his life. One of the charities he supports is the Motor Racing Outreach, MRO, providing spiritual support to racers and their families. Waltrip started in the NASCAR Winston Cup Grand National Series, NASCAR's top racing series, at age 25. 25 years, 3 months, and 2 days to be exact. On May 7th, 1972, at the 1972 Winston 500 at Talladega, Alabama. The series' fastest and longest track at 2.66 miles, driving a 1969 Mercury Cyclone he purchased from Holman Moody, originally the Ford Fairlane driven by Mario Andretti, to victory in the 1967 Daytona 500. Waltrip finished 38th in his first Winston Cup race after retiring on lap 69 due to engine failure. Waltrip paid $12,500 for the car, a spare engine, and some spare parts, and made $680 in that first race. Waltrip's crew chief was Suitcase Jake Elder, so called because he worked for so many different teams over his career, much like hockey's Gary Suitcase Smith, the goaltender who played for many teams in the NHL. The car was converted from the Ford Fairlane Andretti drove to a 1969 Mercury Cyclone, as driven by Waltrip, and later converted to a 1971 Mercury Cyclone. The car was sponsored by Terminal Transport of Owensboro, Waltrip's first major sponsor. Waltrip still owns the car today as part of a collection of cars he has raced and is one of his favorites. And now we do have a picture of Darrell Waltrip's original car that he drove. Sitting on pit road, I believe, in this book here, maybe? Let's see. Nope, not this time. Good try. Other book. It's in the other book. Let's see. It's this book we want to find. Here it is right here. Yes, sir. There's a real good picture of his first race car at the bottom of the page there. Number 95. Mercury Cyclone Terminal Transport Special. Driven by Darrell Waltrip. That would have been Talladega in 1972. Okay, right on. So, he's getting started in NASCAR, big time. Oh, that first race found Waltrip competing against legendary stock car racers such as Richard Petty, David Pearson, who won that Talladega race in a car similar to this one, which is in the Vintage and Historic Stock Cars book, right here. Here it is, David Pearson's Purelator Mercury, number 21 for the Wood Brothers, that he would have ridden to victory in that Talladega race in 1972 or something very similar to it. There it is, beauty of a car. I think the early 70s NASCAR cars are some of the best styled cars of all time in NASCAR for sure. Very slick looking cars. Superbirds and Mercurys and Fords, and they all look good. Chevys, boy. Those Coke bottle bodied Dodges that Richard Petty used to drive too. Right on, so let's see. Cale Yarborough also was one of his early rivals, and Bobby Allison, among others. Waltrip soon earned the respect of his more experienced peers. He was given the number 95 as a number, but Waltrip preferred car number 17 because his hero, Pearson, had success with that number in earlier years. He won a championship with that number in 1968 and 69 with Holman Moody. As an owner-driver, Waltrip ran 5 races in 1972. He got his first top 10 finish and first time running at the checkered flag in his second race at Atlanta, where he finished 8th. In his third start, back at Talladega, he led 7 laps, the first of his career, before another engine failure. In his fourth start, at his home track in Nashville, he got his first top 5 finish with a 3rd. Another top 10 at Charlotte rounded out his season, in which he finished 56th in the season overall point standings, after only 5 races run. In 1973, Waltrip ran 14 races in his own car, and 5 more driving for Bud Moore Engineering in the number 15 Ford Torino. Elder remained his crew chief in all races. He started the year off making his first Daytona 500 start, finishing 12th. At College Station, Texas World Speedway in College Station, Texas, he had his career best finish to date with a 2nd, 2 laps down to the winner. He ran a Chevrolet for the first time at Nashville, starting 3rd, his best so far, but finished 24th with rear end trouble. The next race at Darlington's Southern 500 was his first for Bud Moore, finishing 8th. Then the next race at Richmond, he started on the front row for the first time, but crashed on lap 5. For the season, he finished 28th in points, but lost a controversial decision for the Rookie of the Year to Lenny Pond. Pond finished higher in the points, 23rd, but his best finish was only 4th. Pond did have 8 top 10s to Waltrip's 5, but Waltrip felt slighted, and not the last time he would disagree with a decision made by NASCAR. And here is a picture of Bud Moore's 1973 Ford Torino, which would have been very similar to the car driven by Darrell Waltrip in his first so-called name ride in NASCAR. Only lasted 5 races, but hey, Bud Moore, it's pretty big time stuff. Big time car owner. Now 1974. The next year, Darrell Waltrip ran 16 races, all of them in his own car, which was now a Chevrolet Chevelle, throughout the season, still with Elder as his crew chief. He won the first pole position of his career at Nashville, where he finished 3rd. He equaled his career best finish to date with a 2nd at the Southern 500. Late in the season at Charlotte, Waltrip finished on the lead lap for the first time, coming in 3rd. He did fail to qualify for a race for the first time at Talladega, but still had his best season yet with 7 top 5s and 11 top 10s, with only 5 races in which he failed to finish. He had his first top 20 season points finish with 19th. 1975 would be the year when Waltrip made the big time in NASCAR. He ran 17 races as an owner-driver, starting on the pole at North Wilkesboro and finishing 7th, continuing with Elder as his crew chief, and now running his preferred car number 17 throughout the year. On May 10th, 1975, Mother's Day weekend, he parlayed his second pole of the season into his first Winston Cup victory at his home track, Nashville, at age 28 years, 3 months, and 5 days to be exact, in the Music City 420, outpacing the field by 2 laps in the terminal transport car. And that we do have a picture of in one of these books. Yeah, the Victory Lane celebration picture at Nashville, his first ever win. Let's see here. Where's that? We have it. It's coming very soon. And it's just about back here a little further. Here it is, right here. Boom, at the top of the page right there. Woo, yeah. There you can see the big party in the victory circle. It says, my first Winston Cup win, May 10th, 1975, Nashville, Tennessee. It meant so much that Pappy and Granny Phillips could be there with Stevie and me, that's his wife, in Victory Lane. And the little boy in the brown shirt and all that hair standing next to Granny is Michael, his brother, who had been about 12 years old at the time. Yep, his first win, first of 84. Now then, in the middle of the 1975 season, Waltrip was signed to a multi-year contract and replaced driver Donnie Allison in the number 88 Dyegard Chevrolet, Waltrip's long-awaited jump into the big leagues of NASCAR. The Dyegard racing team was founded in part by Mike D. Prospero and Bill Gardner, who were brothers-in-law with the legendary Robert Yates as engine builder. So they had good power. Waltrip's first race with Dyegard came on August 17th at Talladega, finishing 42nd after experiencing engine failure. So, even though with Robert Yates engines, you can still have engine failure. He would compete in 10 more races in the 1975 season for Dyegard, still sponsored by Terminal Transport and with Elder as crew chief, and got his second victory October the 12th in Richmond. We do have a photo of Richmond, Virginia. Actually, I think it's just his race car from 1975 at Martinsville a couple of weeks earlier. But let me see here if I can find that. 1975. Here now. Getting close to it. There's a picture of him from 75 with his old Chevy. And here we go. Let's see. So many pictures in here of Darrell Waltrip. Let's see. Where's that? Oh, here we go. There's one. Picture in color of his number 17. Oh, God. Such a huge book. I can't really move it that well. Let's see. Ow. Jesus. There it is. There's his car there at the bottom. Number 17, orange and white, with the blue numbers on the roof. At Daytona. That would be the Firecracker 400 in 1975. Woohoo. Okay. Now then, let me see. Back to the script here. Woo-hoo. He would post 3 top 5 and 4 top 10 finishes in the 11 races he ran for Dyegard in 1975. He got his first top 10 finish in season points, coming in 7th. During the late 1970s, Waltrip would begin his domination of NASCAR's short tracks, especially Bristol, Martinsville, and Nashville. He holds the track record at Bristol for wins with 12, and for poles at Martinsville with 8. In 1976, Waltrip started a streak in which he ran every race, every season until 1990. For the first time, he ran the first race on the schedule at Riverside road course and had a new crew chief, David Ift, and a new sponsor, Gatorade, on his Chevrolet Laguna. Waltrip won only one race in 1976 at Martinsville, but started on the pole 3 times at Bristol and back-to-back at Martinsville and North Wilkesboro. That Martinsville race was not the one that he won, unfortunately. He didn't win from the pole. I think he started 3rd in the one that he won. He finished 8th in points with 10 top 5s and 12 top 10s. In 1977, Waltrip broke out, winning 6 times, including his first of 4 career victories at Talladega on May 1st in his last race with Ift as crew chief. He would win 4 times, Nashville, Michigan, North Wilkesboro, and Atlanta, working with legendary NASCAR crew chief Buddy Parrott. Chevrolet switched from the Laguna to the Monte Carlo in 1977. I do have a picture of that car in here. This huge book again. 1977, here we go. It's a good thing this book is in chronological order. Makes it a little easier to find stuff. And I got paper stuck in here. Here, there, and everywhere. Thinking that I was going to show you guys all kinds of stuff here. But we just have to show you a picture of his 77 car. Let me see. What do we have here? Oh, here it is. Not a very attractive looking picture because he's blowing an engine in this picture, but there is his car smoking. Right there, number 88 Gatorade car. That is, what track is that? That is at Martinsville. The Old Dominion 500 on September 25th. Racing with Skip Manning going by on his number 92 Chevy. Whew. Yep, that was 1977. Alrighty. Now, what else do we have here? Okay, Waltrip had his best season of yet points-wise in 1977, finishing 4th with 24 top 10s, completing 94% of all the laps run that season. In 1978, Waltrip equaled his previous year's wins total with 6, including his first of 5 career victories in the Charlotte 600-miler on May 28th. Waltrip and Parrott would win 21 NASCAR races together from 1977 through 1980. He bested his career best points finish in 1978, coming in 3rd on the strength of 19 top 5 finishes. He also passed $1 million in career earnings that year. In perhaps the most famous and well-known NASCAR race, the 1979 Daytona 500, held February 18th, a race that Richard Petty won, Waltrip was a pre-race favorite to win in his first race in an Oldsmobile. Dygaard ran the smaller Cutlass at Daytona and Talladega only because it handled better on the longest tracks than the Monte Carlo, which was run at all other tracks. As the first NASCAR race covered flag to flag on national television, Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison, while battling for the lead on the last lap, came together and crashed hard, taking each other out in the 3rd turn. While the Allison and Yarborough cars were spinning and coming to rest in the grassy infield, attention turned quickly to the new leaders, Richard Petty leading and Waltrip running closely behind in 2nd, as a fistfight ensued between Yarborough, Donnie Allison, and his brother Bobby in the turn 3 grass. As Bobby memorably clipped, quote, "Cale went to beating on my fist with his nose," unquote. Earlier in the race, Waltrip's car dropped a cylinder and, while able to hang on to the slipstream of the Petty car on the final lap, was not able to draft past the Petty car in the 4th turn on the final lap due to the reduction in horsepower. Still, Waltrip finished runner-up in perhaps the most famous race in NASCAR history and was an early turning point in Waltrip's career. And that is it for today. Well, that's at least a look at the beginning of Waltrip's career, up to a point. And hope you all enjoyed this video. I sure enjoyed talking about it to you. And we'll be back day after tomorrow with another video. So join me then. It's going to be fun. See you then. Bye now.